Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution episode 1137. Buses are running 2 hours late this morning. I've got the crud, man. I was in a Nyquil Haze this morning, and I slept till like 8:30. I woke up and like 8:24. I'm like, oh, this is the crud that you feel like absolute shit in the morning and right before you go to bed. And you pop that NyQuil and you're conked out. Now, yesterday throughout the day, I felt shitty, but it wasn't like I was able to like be productive. I was actually super productive yesterday. Got a lot of shipping done, listed stuff. I think it took my mind off the feeling like crap. Like it's one of those like when I get like allergy headaches, sinus headaches, sometimes like the best medicine is like jumping on the treadmill. So maybe this is my body's signal like, hey, you spent 8 or 9 days like just drinking beer and eating shit, soaking up the sun, watching baseball. It's time to like detox, like get some 7-Up and crackers. You need a diet, fat boy. So here we are. So yeah, I was able to be pretty productive yesterday. And like I'm already feeling 10 times better than I did an hour ago. But I felt like absolute dog shit an hour ago also. But I haven't taken any Dayquil yet, but I'm on the Dayquil Nyquil routine. And I have to be because it's a busy, this is hopefully Topps Big League comes in this week. I checked my blowout account yesterday, had not shipped yet, but I'm in a 2-day, so I'm wondering maybe it ships today. So we'll see. It's also Madison Card Show week. Do I have the banner? Let's throw the banner up. It's been a while since here's the upcoming dates. Madison Card Show. Next show is this coming Saturday. Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive. Tables sold out, 175 tables throughout 3 ballrooms. We've got the new 3rd ballroom, the State Street ballroom with 40 tables, the Williamson ballroom, both of those on the 1st floor. Upstairs, 2nd floor, we've got the Capitol ballroom and the mezzanine. So come see us this Saturday. Scrolling at the bottom of your screen, the rest of the schedule so far. We'll get the July, August, September dates probably in early May. Also, something I still need to follow up. I haven't looked at the contract, but there will be room rates. So if you come to the Madison Card Show and stay at the Sheraton, until now, there have not been room rates. There will be. I don't think it'll start this month, but starting with the April show, there will be room rates available for the Madison Card Show. So I didn't want to, like my hesitancy on that was I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to book a block of 10 rooms and only 7 people show up to book a room under the code. I don't want to be responsible for paying for 3 unbooked rooms. So that was my hesitancy. They waived that. So they're like, you won't be responsible financially for anything. It's just a courtesy block. So that's awesome. I'll throw some details out there soon once we get all the once I sign the contract, because I have the contract, but it came to me towards the end of my trip at spring training, and then just playing catch up. It was kind of on the back burner because it doesn't take effect until April. So hasn't been a priority, but it will be this week. So I'm going to have to blow my nose. Let's get to the chat. Let's blow my nose first, and then we'll get to the chat. Excuse me. I should probably mute the microphone. Can I? If that worked, I'll mute the microphone so you don't have to hear me. There's nothing worse this time of year. Well, having this is bad, But remember in school, thank God I'm not a teacher. Shout out to the teachers out there for putting up with the cesspool of germs in public schools and private schools, schools in general. But just sitting in class, and there's always that kid that doesn't blow his nose. And that kid was usually me. And you just hear, but there was usually more than one of those kids. There's usually like 3 of those kids at the same time. Like all you hear for 8 hours is freaking sniffles. And of course, there was the kid in my school, was Jay. He ate the glue. He was the glue eater, and he was the one that wiped the snot on his sleeve. God. Kids, man. Little cesspools of germs. I've talked about this before. Like usually I'll get this. I think somebody said is crud code for COVID. No, I do not have COVID. It's just a head cold. But I think I usually get this once or twice a year. Now, I've learned I get this a lot less working from home because I don't have an office cesspool of germs. Because the office that I previously worked for, I get this 2 or 3 times a year. Why? Because I worked with adults. I didn't work with snotty-nosed kids, but my coworkers had snotty-nosed kids that were wiping their snot on their sleeves. And it's like, Jesus. Little germ factories. So I do get this less. And this likely came from the airport. Another cesspool of germs. So that's probably where I picked up this little piece of crud. The one year that I didn't have sickness, ironically, was the year that I spent the most time in schools when I was broadcasting basketball. I broadcasted 153 high school basketball games in one season, in 4 weeks, or not 4 weeks, in 4 months, 16 weeks. And I got sick at the very beginning because I set out, it was a goal to broadcast play-by-play on 153. I talk for if I go 2 hours on this program, I can't talk in the afternoon. But I would do a broadcast. I would do play-by-play. I think 6 was, and I did 6 games in a day a couple times. 6 full-length high school basketball games in one single day. Now I can't talk for 2 hours. But at the very beginning of that year, and I set out to do 150 games, at the very beginning, it was day 3, and I get strep throat or something. It was probably just this, but it seemed a lot worse. Just the common cold as a broadcaster is the worst thing ever. It's like being a sprinter and losing your leg, because that's what your voice on radio, that's all you have. So I was able to rebound. I think I only missed 1 night of games because it came, fortunately, the timing worked out when I did get sick during that run of my broadcasts. I think it hit me on a Saturday night, probably after I did 6. No, I think it was early as Thanksgiving tournament time. So I probably did 3 games in a day. And then Sunday, and I think Monday might have been a built-in off day. And then I missed Tuesday. And then I was back for Wednesday. And then I was able to plug in. I think I missed 2 games on that Tuesday night. I was able to plug those in throughout the season. Ended up, and I think I skipped the final weekend, the 3A, 4A boys. That was kind of the cushion, okay, if I still need to get games in, I'll broadcast these, but I didn't need to. I had 153, so I think it was in 15 weeks. So there you go. Now I got a sneeze coming on. All right, now I'm going to have to blow my nose. See, this is just the freaking crud we deal with. So I say it was like when I woke up with this yesterday morning, it's like, oh, this is like the worst timing. But it's not, because hopefully I'll be fully recovered by Saturday's Madison card show. And I rambled about that yesterday, like, oh, it's the worst time. It's always the worst time to get sick. There's no best time to get sick. Max is in the house, still getting a show today. We're just 2 hours late. Bear with my sneezing and nose blowing. Harlan's here. Good morning. Hope you feel better soon. Thank you. I appreciate that. David, what's happening? Good morning. Christian is here. Good morning to you. Crud is not slang for COVID. It's just the common head cold, sneezing, congestion, blowing my nose, just the old snot factory rolling in. Victor, what's up? Good morning. Cooter, what's going on? Good morning. Sorry you have the crud. Make sure to tell your customers to soak their cards in Lysol upon receipt. There you go. A little note. I have a head cold. There may be germs on your card. Run it under warm water and soap. You'll be good. What time are you supposed to be starting? So my show, 7 a.m. Central is always the start time of the show. 7 a.m. Central time. So I started a little over 2 hours late today. So it's currently 9:34 Central time. So I'm a little over 2 hours late. Johnny Boy Cards, happy Monday. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh yes, it's actually CDT now. Yes, we just passed CST. We are now in daylight. See, this is why we should just do away with it. We can keep whatever time you want, whether it's this time or the old time, but just let's stop changing it. Let's keep one standard time. Peter's in the house. Good morning. Cooter says, future topic suggestion. What are the actual rules of ESE, first class and non-machinable mail, and why the USPS employees aren't idiots, morons, or Nazis? So I have thoughts. I have thoughts on this. The unfortunate part of ESE is the actual rules kind of go against USPS. And that's maybe what you're getting at, because the actual rules of ESE, let's see if we can find the actual rules, because we don't have a topic today, so we can just tackle this right now. Standard envelope. Where are we at? eBay standard envelope. Okay, so here we are. Let's share the screen. Presenting eBay standard envelope. We'll just take me off the screen. Okay, so here's the requirements. Where's my screen? To use this service, it's important to ensure your envelope meets the below criteria. If it doesn't, the shipment may be returned to you, or the buyer may receive the item with postage due, which happens sometimes when you do follow all of these requirements. No smaller than 3.5 inch by 5 inch. I think we all, that's probably the smaller envelope, right? 6 by 11.5, which I believe is that the, sounds like the number 10 envelope. So basically your standard white envelope, whether it's the smaller one or the larger one. Envelope thickness is uniform, less than 1/4 inch at all points, and not too rigid. So that's the thing that kind of trips people up. Not too rigid, which basically not, that's subjective. Rigidity is subjective. So that's kind of where we run into problems is, well, it's too rigid. I mean, I'll have one card in one card saver come back because it's too rigid. It should go packaged. Now, it's very uncommon that it happens, but it does. So that's where we get into a gray area, is the rigidity. The thickness, uniform thickness, that's measurable, less than a quarter inch. You get out your little measure. Okay, it's less than a quarter inch. It's good to go, but not too rigid. Oh, this is rigid. And that's sometimes where we run into the postal morons. Weighs up to 3 ounces. That's measurable. Envelope contains no clasps, strings, buttons, or similar closure devices. That's also measurable. Envelope has recipient address parallel to the longest side. Envelope is not enclosed or made of any plastic material. So there you go. And I think a lot of problems that came up with the eBay standard envelope at the inception of the program was eBay itself was using like bubble mailers in their marketing materials for ESE. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. No. So fortunately, it does look like they have adjusted that. But I think where most are running into the problems, although you do run into problems where you meet all those requirements. This is certainly not rigid, but again, that's the subjective part of it. Orlando's in the house. Good morning. Unicorn Cupcake, we are staying there this month, but the pool is key with my daughter. There you go. You got the pool inside. Kevin, let me follow up and let me see if I can get the room rates locked in for March. So have you, first off, I guess, have you booked yet? If you have, let me know. Let me know either way. Shoot me a text or you can drop it in the chat here. Let me know if you've booked for March for this weekend. And I'll find out if I can get those rates locked in for March for this month. And if you've already booked, I'll see if they can retroactively go into, I don't know, give you a credit, or if it hasn't been run, your bill hasn't been run yet, maybe they can go in and fix it. So let me know and I'll try to help you out there. Kyle, good morning. I didn't even know a single NCAA player nor watch a single game prior to filling out a bracket. Feeling good. Tied for 6th. My bracket's shit because Kansas lost. Kansas, I think, is who I had winning. They lost to Gonzaga. Here's my thing. Kind of like some people in the chat yesterday morning were like, oh, we're tired of listening to the brackets talk. I get it. I ran out of Kleenex. I've got some more in the other room. I may have to jump. You don't want to hear me sniffling like that. But where am I at? So I get tired of March Madness. Like the first round, I'm all in. I'm watching basketball all day, all night. Don't want to miss a game. And then by Saturday, it's like I'm doing my thing. I have games on. I'll watch. By Saturday night, I'm done. It's like I want to watch a movie or something. And then by Sunday, like yesterday, I really didn't pay attention. I had the TV on, but I was back and forth, not really. And last night, most of it was weird. I thought most of the Sunday games were during the day. Like I thought they bottled up a lot of the day games, and the night was, but it was like, it seemed like there were only a couple day games and most of them were in prime time. So last night I actually ended up watching a movie. So we're going to pause. I'm going to go get a box of Kleenex and I'll come back and we'll talk about the bracket real quick. I know some of you don't want to talk about the bracket and the movie I watched. Okay, full box of Kleenex. Okay, didn't you? So I did see Kansas lost. That was who I had winning it all, which when I was filling my bracket, I had no idea. And I like to pick chalk. Like the last couple of years, I've gone like chalk because that's what it seems like. Because the upsets, like you can pick upsets in the first round, but typically it's chalk after like the Sweet 16. So it looks like I might get last. Where's my like Josh, who has, this is in the Hobby Evolution, but there's 2 brackets, by the way. In the bracket that I actually filled one out in, I only have a potential of getting 92 points. Oh, Marty only has a potential of 65. Where's Jordan at? Jordan had Kentucky winning, but the rest of his bracket was good. He has a potential of 103. Josh, currently in last place, also had Kentucky winning. He has a potential of 96. So I'm probably going to get either last, second to last, or third to last. So let's look at the scores. By the way, in the Hobby Evolution bracket, David and Will are tied for first. David has Purdue winning. Will has Houston winning. Steve Ains has UConn winning. He's in third place. And then a tie for fourth between Dennis and Paul, the flipping sports guy. So in the other bracket, the 1 million Cubs Hobby Evolution bracket, we've got Scott in first with Purdue winning. Tyler in second with UConn winning. Brian in third with North Carolina winning. And then a 4-way tie for fourth between John, who has Houston, Trevor with Purdue, Scott with Arizona, and Brian with Iowa State. So I was thinking we only had 50 brackets total last year. We had 61 total this year. Unfortunately, they were split between 2 brackets. So I haven't even really looked at the scores, especially from last night's game, to see who won and who lost. Round of 6, so we want the round of 32. So UConn handled Northwestern. San Diego State beat Yale. Illinois hammered Duquesne. Iowa State beat Washington State. North Carolina over Michigan State. Alabama beat Grand Canyon. Clemson upset Baylor. Actually, a good friend of mine is not on the bench, but next to the bench. He's the SID for men's basketball at Clemson. Arizona beat Dayton. Houston beat Texas A&M. Duke beat James Madison. North Carolina State beat Oakland in overtime. See, the Oakland Golden Grizzlies, that was who I was rooting for. Marquette beat Colorado. Purdue crushed Utah State. It was Gonzaga beating Kansas. Wah, wah. Creighton beat Oregon in double OT, and Tennessee over Texas. So, and again, what did I just say? Like the upsets, they'll get you some extra points in the first round, but once it comes to the Sweet 16, things kind of even out. So in the East bracket, you've got 1 versus 5. So basically only the 4 seed. So that's almost chalk. You've got 2 versus 3. That's chalk. In the West, 1 versus 4. That's chalk. And 6 versus 2. So you almost go chalk there. 6 ended up beating 3 yesterday. In the South, chalk, 1 versus 4. And then Marquette number 2. So 3 out of 4 teams went chalk in the South bracket. North Carolina State is the Cinderella there, the number 11 seed. And then in the Midwest bracket, it's 1 versus 5, 3 versus 2. It almost went all chalk. So out of the 16, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. 12 of the 16 went chalk. So your top seeds, if you had that's a pretty damn good ratio. So the thing is picking the correct winner. And if you picked Kansas, wah wah, or what was Kentucky? Were they a 3 seed? But I don't like having all number 1s in the Final Four because that rarely happens. Okay, we're boring Max. Moving on from the bracket. Oh, I watched a movie last night. Good morning, JW. I did get tired, like Max is tired of bracket talk. I get tired of the March Madness. Now we'll get a few days reprieve. But I watched a movie last night. Unicorn Cupcake says he'll never forget Michael Smith pooping his pants in 2nd grade. Isn't there there's Jay was eating glue in 2nd grade, also 2nd grade. 2nd grade is like that coming of age. When you're in 2nd grade, you decide who you're going to be. Are you going to be the kid that poops his pants and remembered 40 years later? Are you going to be the glue eater? Because everybody had a glue eater. That's 2nd grade. That's where you have to decide, I'm going to be a man or woman, or I'm going to be the glue eater. I'm going to be the Ralph Wiggum of the class. So, Michael, sorry, 40 years later, you're still the kid that pooped his pants in second grade. Jay, I apologize, but you're the glue eater. I watched a movie last night because I was sick of basketball, and I've been quarantined to the basement because it's spring market for my wife. And I was kidding. I come up for air every once in a while, and like I'm going to bed. And she's like, "Are you sleeping downstairs?" Which isn't a question. It's not a question. It's a hard suggestion. You are sleeping downstairs tonight. And I'm like, "Oh, unless you want me to sleep up here." And neither of us want that because I'm going to snore because I'm all congested. She's going to get pissed off and hit me. And I'm going to wake up and get pissed off because I can't fall back asleep. So it's just better for the sanctity of our marriage. So, I was sick of basketball last night, just hanging out. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch a movie. And you know how I like my cheesy 80s thrillers and horror movies. Tubi is a great platform for that. So I'm always on Pluto because I listen to like music videos on Pluto, which is an awesome app also. They have good movies and TV shows. And both, by the way, both are free apps. Pluto and Tubi, Tubi. So I turned Tubi on and it's like, oh, there's some good cheese. There's a lot of good cheese going on in here. So there was a movie that I don't like. I don't like foreign film. I just don't like it. I can't get into it. I am like 50% English ancestry wise, and I can't stand British television, really. Just any British television. So when I look at movies and it's like, takes place in Australia or England or Italy. Although Italy, I do have a soft spot for. So I'm like, and I think it's just because I'm not, we talked yesterday about movies and how shitty of a taste I have in movies. So here's partly why. But there was a movie called Road Games. Have you ever heard of this? I think it came out in 1981. Actually has a good cast. Stacy Keach. He was a detective. Wasn't he like Van Hammer or something? He was a detective show in the 80s. And in early Jamie Lee Curtis. Like she was a scream queen. And I know she was in was it Prom Night? And of course the original Halloween. And she was in some other like horror movies in the late 70s, early 80s. One of them was Road Games. So I turned Road Games on. All right, I had the preview running and I saw it was set in Australia. And I'm like, oh, Australia. But then I saw Stacy Keach and Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm like, oh, okay, I can watch this. It's just weird that it was set because it very well could have been set in America or really any country. So Road Games, Stacy Keach and Jamie Lee Curtis. Great movie. At the beginning, I am the type of movie watcher that either really gets into a movie at the beginning and then I realize what's going to happen and I already know what's going to happen and I turn the movie off. Or it's a very slow build. I get bored. I'm looking at my phone. All of a sudden, I'll just start watching and I really get into it. That's what happened with Road Games. I was really bored at the beginning. As it starts wearing on, I'm like, oh, okay, this is good. And now I want to go back and watch the first half because I missed it because I was playing on my phone. I'll just go to Wikipedia and read the recap. So Road Games, it's on Tubi. Jamie Lee Curtis, Stacy Keach. I believe it was released in 1981. It's a good movie. What I like about it is it's not a whodunit. You know whodunit. They reveal whodunit like in the first 15 minutes of the movie. But there's twists and turns. It's like, well, how is this going to end? Like, we know who did it. How is it going to end? Most thrillers, it's a whodunit, and you're guessing, and you usually guess wrong. Plot twist. And then once you realize in the last 20, 30 minutes of the movie, you're like, oh, I know who did it. We know how it's going to end. Click off. So that's kind of why I like the not whodunits. Moving on. JW says, I usually always end up sweating it somehow when I get sick. Seems to work the best for me unless it's just a common cold. Mike says, you get it when you travel. Planes, trains, automobiles are a cesspool of germs. Yes. I have avoided it the last couple of years on my trips back from spring training, but could not avoid it this year. I'm pretty sure because I flew home Wednesday night and I started feeling the crud set in on Saturday evening. And that's like, boom, that's like 3 days. That's the germinating period or whatever the hell they call it. Mr. Archer, good morning. Orlando says, get some sun and fresh air. Go for a walk. You'll feel better. Well, I can get some fresh air, but I'm not going to get any sun today. Unfortunately, we don't have any sun. It's gray. It's overcast. It's gloomy. It's a very gloomy morning. But if the sun does come out, the sun will come out eventually. The sun will come out eventually. It's supposed to rain, and we've got wind advisories and rainy conditions. So the rain might help. The humidity in the air, that might be good. We're at Wednesday. We're supposed to get some sun on Wednesday, but it's not going to be below freezing, at least for daytime highs. We're going to hit 61 on Friday. That's nice. So Orlando is walking and listening now. Unicorn Cupcake says, when will you come to the Madison Card Show? We need to get Orlando here and Cooter too. Mike Petty says, hope you enjoyed your spring training COVID. It's a 6 to 8 week cold. I hope not. Here we go again. Oh, mute. But I mean, it's really no surprise that with all the people, I was there for 8.5 full days. Wait, that doesn't. 8.5 full days. I was there 8.5 days. And a couple flights there and back. And then tailgating, being in a game, like being around people. So it's no wonder. Peter says, where does all that snot come from? That's a really good question. Where does all our snot come from? I did think about that yesterday. And I'm like, what? Maybe I should Google this. Like, what? Like, you blow your nose. How many times have I already blown my nose this morning in 33 minutes? Like 8 times. And it just keeps rolling out. It's like, what is going on? Orlando would love to one day. So far from Miami. Hey, we do have direct flights because my mother-in-law lives down there half the time. Direct flights out of is it West Palm? Actually, I don't know. Maybe there's not direct flight because I think my wife maybe she takes a different airline though. Let me Google this. Madison direct flights. I know there's like 3 or 4 direct flights to Florida because that's how I was trying to talk Ryan Nolan into coming up here. Soon, LA is the West Coast has just been a bitch to fly out of direct from Madison. Where we fly, Madison Airport. Orlando, Tampa, Fort Myers, and Miami. So which Miami is it? Oh, it's Miami International. So we have direct flights. Miami International. There you go, Orlando. There you go. It's just a flight away, and you'll deal with all this crud. Mike says you have snots. Let's see. I'm going to Strongsville. We'll be with Mike Petty there. Very cool. Strongsville. That's a show that, most shows, card shows to me are not like, it's more about like the people like Dallas, like I couldn't care less of going to the Dallas card show. But the reason why I want to go is because Uncle Rich, Kin, Cooter's close, Dr. Beckett, all the Dallas people. That's why I want to go to the Dallas card show. Like, I was in Phoenix and there was a big, now they advertised as 400 tables. A few people told me, it was not 400 tables. That's usually the big shows. They kind of do that. But it's like, it's just a card show. Like I'm here for baseball. I don't care about cards right now. Like I've got the Madison card show next week, 175 tables. I'll be good. Strongsville is one of the few shows that I would like to go to for the cards because I know it's such a strong vintage show, and I love me some Cubs vintage and pre-war. So that's why I want to go to Strongsville. Burbank, just because of the Rob is my idol, and it's a very popular show. That's probably it. Burbank, Strongsville, and Dallas. And I'd like to get to a Philly show because my friends at Card Dealer Pro and Collects are out there in Philly. John Keating's in Philly. A lot of Philly people. So that's another reason. But again, that's for the people, not the cards. For the cards, Strongsville's probably the only show that it's like, I want to go to this show because of the cards. Mike's excited for Strongsville. Rich says Nyquil does that. That's why I only take Dayquil nowadays. I need to take Nyquil because I need to sleep. I need to sleep so I can deal with the crud while I'm awake. Johnny M says, good morning. In all fairness, there are a lot of sellers that push the limits trying to save a quarter in postage. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Cooter says a top loader. Top loader, yes. Too rigid. I strongly advise against using top loaders. I have used top load. I was strictly a top loader user up until a year and a half ago before I switched to card savers. Now it's like, God, why was I ever using top loaders to ship PWE? Rich says, oh, by the way, for YouTube, we are below the Mendoza line for likes. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Rich. A top loader in the center of an envelope is not equal rigidity. Correct. So if you do the small envelope, I think it's a little better. It's a little better. Unicorn Cupcake says, I wanted to go to Strongsville. I'm glad I didn't make the plans, though, getting laid off in 3 weeks. That is not good. That is not good. We do not like to hear that. JW says, I've come to learn when it comes to ESEs, every post office and every employee at the post office all have their own rules on it. Yes. And this predates ESE. When I lived in, where's Dave? Dave Arnold's teaching chemistry right now, so that's why he's not with us. But when I was living in Macomb, Illinois, which, by the way, there's a card show in Macomb next Saturday, which is what, April 6th? Hard to believe that's next Saturday, or a week from Saturday. So when I was in Macomb, I'd go to the Macomb post office and do my stuff. And I think bubble mailers were, what were they? They were like $1.05 or something. I can't remember. But, and I had those, the small bubble mailers, which were like the size of an envelope, the smallest bubble mailer, just for like single cards. I would take those in, and there were like 3 regular clerks, like that they were there every day. Tall guy, old guy, and female. And one of the workers, actually, I think there were 4, because Carrie was one of the guys, because I knew him. One of the guys would always be like a stickler and upcharge. And the other guy would like send it through like stamp mail. Like, oh, this is a bubble mailer, but oh yeah, it goes through. And he would allow it to go whatever a stamp cost back then, 50 cents. And so a bubble mailer went stamp rate. Now there was a much smaller difference in price back in 2006 between stamp rate and bubble. Like I said, I think bubble mailer was $1.05 and stamps were, what were they in 2006? 45, 50 cents, something like that. Now the difference is what, 65 cents to $4. Like if you walk into the post office, this is not taking in eBay, PayPal, Pirate Ship, any of those. You walk into the post office and a bubble mailer is going to be like $4.12. Stamp's going to be what, 66 cents, I think. JW says, kind of funny how it's a woman at my post office that complains about it being too rigid. But Unicorn Cupcake says, I've already booked for March with like a no modification clause. So I got the lowest rate, but I appreciate it. If you get it done, we might stay another night. All righty. I'll see what I can do. Cooter says, also, the rigidity is set forth in the regs. Must bend to 11-inch diameter, thick dinner plate with 40 pounds of belt pressure, although you are at the whim of clerk's subjective judgment. Aha. Jamie, what's going on? Happy Monday. Unicorn Cupcake says, at least I had notice, was able to get some insurance for my daughter's braces before I got shit canned, laid off indefinitely. That sucks. But I like your attitude. Someone always has it worse. Absolutely. That's like when I was, fortunately, it was my plan to quit my job. So much different situation, but I took advantage, like your insurance. You had time. It's like, okay, I'm going to quit. So I'm going to make one final doctor's appointment under my insurance plan. I'm going to get all my dental work that I can get done under my insurance plan, get new glasses and all that, and then quit. Take advantage of all the company insurance benefits. Uncle Rich says all number 1 and number 2 seeds moved on. If you had them all going forward, you would be in good shape for your brackets. And apparently I did not, because I only could get like 92 points. Max says, so root for Marquette and Duke, although it really pains me to root for Marquette. Yeah, I can't root for Marquette. And I'm not even like a Wisconsinite Badger fan, because there's like a hatred between Marquette and Wisconsin. So I am not a Marquette. I am not rooting for Marquette. I am rooting for Illinois only because, like, I used to hate Illinois, but Brad Underwood is a Western Illinois Leatherneck guy. He was an assistant at Western for 10 years, now the head coach at Illinois. So I'll be rooting for Illinois. I also grew up an Iowa fan, and Illinois is playing Iowa State, so you have to root for the Illini. UConn and San Diego State, I really don't care. North Carolina, Alabama, I'm going to root for the Tar Heels. Clemson and Arizona, I'm rooting for Clemson because of my buddy Ben. Duke and Houston, I really don't care. North Carolina State versus Marquette, I really don't care. I guess North Carolina State, Cinderella story, I don't know. Purdue, Gonzaga, I really don't care about that matchup. Creighton, Tennessee, I don't really care about that matchup. So I'm really only rooting for Clemson and Illinois. And I guess to an extent, North Carolina. Unicorn Cupcake says, if Collector's Dream or Petty find any Hall of Famers from E92 Crofts Cocoa, let me know. By the way, the number 11 seed, which is left, won the ACC tournament, so they are a pretty good team. And that's something that I should have taken into consideration when filling out my bracket. Because I think I had them losing in the first round, and I should have known better. Mike says, I don't have a 1. I love anything with an E on it lately. I don't like musicals. My wife and I both hate them except Grease. I listed my 2 on eBay because I can't find any others to buy. That set would be my grill, but all the E92s, E101s, or E102s are kind of the same. I would love the Christy Mathewson in any grade. Max says, all that Prius and Subaru exhaust. That's what we have in Madison. Ziggy, no, what's up? Good morning. Orlando says, sounds like the post office is like grading one person's opinion. Yes, that's basically what it boils down to. Max says, unfortunately, it's the early stages of the economy taking a dump. A lot of layoffs happened already in certain industries. Max says, Marquette is just like the University of Minnesota and the state schools, for me, safety schools. JW says, I feel you. I got a call Friday morning from work telling me they closed the doors for good. Almost there 10 years. They didn't give anyone notice. Man, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. Max says pretty good team versus hot at the right time aren't the same thing, but tourney is all that matters. Needless to say, unemployment office will be seeing me soon. Terry says, just tuned in. Road Games is a great movie. Yes, just watch it for the first time. Royals 417, what's up? Come up from work and realize you were live. Appropriate title since I've been surviving on Nyquil for the last week. Yes, I've got the crud Nyquil. It's Nyquil, coffee, Dayquil. Nyquil, coffee, Dayquil. And yes, I'm drinking water. I did have my wife pick me up some 7-Up. Can you pick me up some 7-Up and crackers? Like I'm 11. I don't feel good. So that's what I had for today. Thought I was only going to go on for like 15 minutes, but here we are, 45 minutes in. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Visit my eBay store. I did add over 2,600 Bowman Draft singles from this past 2023 Bowman Draft product, including Wyatt Langford, Paul Skeens, Jackson Holiday. Basically, well, every card on the checklist. It's paper, by the way. Every card on the checklist with the exception of the 5 Cubs cards. So 195 of the 200 cards in the set available as singles in my eBay store. Link in the description. Buy 7 or more and you'll save 25% off at checkout. So I'm off to do some shipping. I'm going to do some listing, some other stuff that I've been listing. Not only did I list those, but I've been listing some. The funny thing is the sell-through on Wade Boggs, Jose Canseco, Cal Ripken Jr. I don't think I sold any Mookie Betts, but the junk wax stuff has been moving. A lot of it's the oddball stuff, which I have a lot of. So I think I'm going to kind of sprinkle that in because I've gone Bowman heavy in my eBay store lately, and the sell-through is not that great. It is good every once in a while. I'll get like, boom, somebody comes in and buys a whole bunch, or they'll come in and, buy 10 of one player. Those are nice sales. It's a set it and forget it, but it does take a lot of time to get those sorted. But I'm seeing a quicker sell-through on some of these. Ken Griffey Jr., I listed like 50 Ken Griffey Jr. singles in my store on I think Saturday, and I think I've sold 8 or 9 already, maybe 10 out of those 50. So I think I'm gonna go that approach here for the next week or so. So that's what I had. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Hopefully we'll be on at the same time tomorrow morning, 7 or not the same time tomorrow. Hopefully we'll not be on at the same time tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be on at our regularly scheduled time of 7 a.m. Central. We'll see. Depends on how much of a Nyquil haze I will be in tomorrow morning. Hopefully get powered through this crud and I won't have to survive on Nyquil and Dayquil the next several days. So have a good one. Like, subscribe. See you tomorrow.